Hello everyone, hope everyone's doing well. So I'm gonna post a video. This video is going to be on interracial dating. So on this came up randomly because I was I'm not a when I was like younger, I used to watch a lot of like Destiny, like SE2. He's an online streamer, Twitch streamer. I don't watch him often anymore. I really don't get. I've chosen to do many other things, unfortunately. I mean, do many other things, and I haven't had the chance to watch him as often as I would like to. And I know that he's always learning stuff, or there's always some great stuff I can learn from him, and people can learn from him. And he's a pretty good YouTuber, gaming / YouTube content, great. But I do know every time he does get into the middle, he is brought to there's some coverage about him in online circles for some reason. And I guess one thing that came up, and not bad, usually it's bad faith stuff, and then he has to clarify it, and it's drama, and it's like he has to clear it up. I'm a supporter, so I'm not gonna go down any of these routes where like he racially fetishizes black women, any of that. I'm not falling for it. And if you've actually paid attention and made an effort to understand any of the drama shit that he's been in the past, you'd notice that it's almost like it's never the way that they are describing it. So and then when you do figure out what it is, like, yeah bro, you're kind of insane, and or you know, so people end up just not liking him, and they don't like the nuance, and they don't like being pushed to certain positions and having to be held accountable for some of their views. And this is something that he ends up doing, and this is something that like annoys him, right? Well, this is something that would be frustrating for him to deal with when it's a constant, like, you know, let's try to cancel or whatever, right? So this is going to be on like interracial dating. Very easy. I'm not gonna do anything like very quick, okay? So the thing that he came under fire under recently, or the conversation that he wanted to bring attention to, was a panel that he was a part of with a bunch of white kids and a bunch of black people and white people, and basically they're trying to there was like a black nationalist, and then there was some progressive black people who weren't black nationalists, and some pushed against it, one other wasn't. There was some race realism, like a black dude thinking that black people are genetically inferior to white people, which is really funny. I didn't watch this video. It's just going to be my views on interracial dating, but I didn't watch this video. But that guy is so funny, and he has the line of thinking that many black people do have. And the funny thing is, these people wouldn't last like 10 minutes with a race realist who just ingested all of the information from YN folk. These people would be annihilated if they're trying to imply that there was someone superior to people based off of some quote unquote inherent thing in someone, based off of the expression of some observable characteristic in an extremely complicated relationship between nature and nurture. It would be really funny to watch these people against Nazis, because they wouldn't survive, or a race realist. You wouldn't survive. So I don't even know why these people are going down that right. Do believe that IQ? No, but I'm just saying, going down these levels, they haven't even done that much work, and it's funny it'd be interesting to see where they'd end up, but it was nonsense. Anyways, the idea was interracial dating, where a guy was justifying that when he was, as a black person, due to his experience, he feels it's justified for him to date amongst his own, because of the amount that people have been oppressed. I vehemently disagree with this, right? I think anybody who has a line of thinking like this, you're white, black, Jewish, Italian, race or ethnicity, this is a problem, right? If you are implying that there's some sort of mystical attachment you have to someone who's a part of your group that makes you unable to interact with somebody else, or that would justify you in a relationship with them as opposed to other people who are outside of that group, that is a toxic line of thinking. They did try to push against it, which he didn't get, right? Well, what if Hispanics feel this way? What if a bunch of white people feel this way? Well, I don't care about what, well, let's go on a case-by-case basis. White people right now, to an extent, feel this way. Italians have felt that way. Jewish people who are actually, well, they make it seem like it's because they're Jewish, but it's because it's an ethno-religious group, and they conflate race, ethnicity, nationality, and religion, and they turn it into Jewish equals white. Right? When they do that, which is actually like, hey, I just want to date white people, like, this would not be acceptable in any other way. So why would it be acceptable if you went under it more? This is something that a lot of people, I try to use as a comparison with black and Jewish people, right? I wouldn't accept it either way. And the idea that someone is unable to to engage in a relationship with you because they are not good enough, quote unquote, because the characteristics that they have are lower. It already sounds really creepy. It's just not a good move, right? It's not something that's acceptable, and the reason why I'm saying it's not acceptable, it's not a good thing, is it doesn't push you in the right direction, because what you're essentially having is the idea of separate but equal. You're pushing for the idea of more separation by having people so comfortable being a part of these little separate groups that they don't interact with. You kind of just made like Avatar, like the Fire Nation, White Nation, Black, Water Nation. Like, when you do these things, you're causing more separation by implying that it's justifiable for people to stay more isolated. That's not a good look. The idea is, so for me personally, my view is, if I'm controlling for certain characteristics, like your views on certain things, eventually I broaden my dating pool, right? So if I'm a person, I don't like racism, I don't like homophobia, I don't like transphobia, my views on certain things, abortion, all those things, I'm much better controlling for these traits than race, right? It would be prejudice in some way, but skin color or the idea of some experience coming with skin color, which is not actually true as well, right? That's just counterproductive. There are many black people who may be some people think that I'm a kid who doesn't care about black people, some black kid who was raised by white people, all that. There's some black kids who are Republicans right now, so what? They have a similar black experience, so they should only date? No. You know, a lot of these things just don't make sense. But that is a line of thinking that many people have as a response to how they've been treated. And the idea is, it's understandable the threshold that everyone has trying to date people outside of their race. That's one thing. But the framework is very important when we're talking about your threshold for dating. And that guy didn't seem to have that threshold, or didn't seem to have a decent threshold that people would agree to, the framework to justify his threshold. Other black people too, and other people in terms of interracial dating. I think all in general, that's a good opportunity. All together, this is a good opportunity or a great chance for people to just read things about interracial dating. You know, there are a lot of people who are not even in support of interracial dating. They may make it seem like it, but you know, some of the microaggressions and micro behaviors and even just assumptions, it's not good. There's even one of those things where, what's that experiment where when people saw interracial marriage, it was the things in their brain were indicative of disgust more than like approval, even though they looked like they were fine with it. They were disgusted, like underneath. These are some things to think about. So, there should be a bigger, this interracial relationship thing is a very touchy subject, and people should make an effort to analyze their framework about dating other people. I'm much more concerned about characteristics like views that are outside of race, because of all the problems that have come with race. It'll still be prejudice, but what's the justification? Skin color is just not it. A traditionally oppressed group, oppression because you're a part of a group is not it, because that includes religion and ethnic. It's not it. Ethnocentrism, all of this is still centered around ethnocentrism, which is counterproductive. There's no person who's actually studying, no, I'm not even going to go there, but anyone who's actually teaching stuff well enough, they're not going to argue for ethnostates, or they're not, any sociologists, any experts they're not going to say, and that is actually like reputable, or who's a part of the consensus is not on the side of ethnocentrism being good. It is definitely cool to acknowledge your uniqueness, but when it's like an overarching pity, superiority complex, then and the framework for that is something to take into account as well. Like, comment, subscribe, GG.